So at night, I guess the problem I got with the motion sensor is at night, there are cars going by here all
Right.
night, and you got neighbors all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd like living on the first floor in the front of that house with lights going on and off all night.
Okay, and if you, that's where these, come in, all of these little dots that are actually numbers, okay? Because the pattern is, much more tightly focused than any of the lighting we, currently have, okay? Like, it lights out to this point and then nothing past there, it's dark. Okay, so even if it does come on and off, people in the houses around would likely not notice because there is no spread light.
The cemetery would be the closest neighbor would see the light.
Yeah, cause see, you, go from, in the middle, you, go from 5 lumens and towards the edges, you're at, 1.5, and then all of a sudden it drops to 0.1 and then 0.
So you wouldn't anticipate that
Before
you'd be lighting up the front of McCubben's house?
Right.
Now, how about, you know, if somebody's sitting in their easy chair, watching television, and that light is in their line of view though, they're gonna have that glowing, even if it's not lighting up the house, and they can look at, like, looking out at that house across the way, I can see there's a light on over there.
Right. However, that's because that light source is putting light out 360 degrees, okay? If they had lighting like these, you would not see the light source. It would not be visible to you.
Wouldn't.
Right.
Okay.
This is all the modern world thing. LEDs are really neat, other than burning a quarter of the power or less. They also aim very well.
Put the light straight down.
So the beam of light, so it's more like a projected beam of light instead of this.
Yeah, it's like a,
Bunch of little flashlights putting down,
Yeah,
straight down.
yeah,
yeah, it's like a staged spotlight,
right.
okay? So that's, and also the standard sodium or metal, they have a life of 8,000 or 10,000 hours, something like that. These are 30 to 50.
And these don't hum, there's no noise with these, some of those lights hum. You know, that you see that somebody puts on the side of their building.
Yeah, it's a 60 cycle hum.
Right.
Yeah, so these don't make, you know, there's no humming.
Because it's AC, but then it's changed to DC and it's sent to the,
Yeah.
Well, I know like the ones I use in my canopies, they have a motion sensor and such like that, they work great. I mean, no one's there, they dim down almost like a nightlight kind of level.
Yeah.
As soon as anybody comes in and closes it, it just pops right up.
Yeah, well, I know I've got a neighbor that's got one of them great big things on his barn,
Yeah,
and I know it hums.
right.
yeah, that's because it's a, it's probably a mercury lamp. Is it that kind of purplish bluish a
Yep.
little bit?
Purple.
Exactly.
Right,
Purple.
and that's because there's a ballast that's right there. The same thing happened over in the gym at the school.
Right, at the school.
When the ballast started to go, they vibrate.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's gonna find out how much is it gonna cost to move across the parking?
I was gonna see, talk to, like, the DOT runs the Salt of the Well program, and the gentleman that does that for us works in the same place I do, same area, and, when I get a chance, I was gonna corner him, cause they use that directional boring all the time, put in piping and
This
such.
is a private company?
Well, it'd be a private company to do it, but I mean, no, he would be able to give me names and numbers and
People that can do it.
people who can do it and get an idea of what it costs.
Right.
Right. other issue is when you are walking out towards the parking lot,
Mhm.
if the light you are walking towards comes on, right? It's gonna make the other areas appear maybe a little bit darker. Well, over a certain threshold, your pupils close down, right? So, and the other thing, separate issue, one thing I do, because motion sensors are good and all that kind of stuff, but they aren't perfect. When somebody is leaving here at night, have them wire a push button next to each
Right.
of the doors.
Yeah.
Hit it.
Mhm.
That way, they don't have to walk out 6 or 8 or 10 feet before the motion sensor picks them up.
Mhm.
Okay, they just hit it. It does, it triggers the same
Well, that way they
circuit.
can illuminate the parking lot before they go out.
Yep,
It's
Yeah.
a override.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good idea.
those lights will last like about 30 years.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
should.
Right.
Leave
Very
forever.
well.
Thanks, Charlie.
I did switch those on today,
Yeah.
the lights were not on,
Yeah.
they're on now,
They
so
can-
somebody's been
And
shutting
do they
them off.
illuminate them enough so that,
Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
really bright out there,
should we,
and that's a sensor, cause
should
they
we-
were off today.
should we have those
Which-
little metal dealios put on there so you
I'm
can't
going to, yeah.
switch them off?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah,
So you know
and,
which switches were turned on?
Those switches underneath the little cubbies were off, they're both on right now.
Where?
That little foyer section where we have to push the keypad,
Right.
well, it's completely lit up now.
I know, do you know which switches turn the light
Yep.
on and off?
Yep. One, they're right next to the door and one behind the door.
oh, also on these, there's a light sensor, so that if there's ambient light outside, down to almost dusk or whatever, the light will not come on.
So those two lights are on, sensors, I forget the name of it, for, they only come on at night. Why don't we just bypass the switches?
No, it's not this, show
They,
switch.
they won't come on during the day.
The one that we have here that triggers the one that's on the outside has a little plastic protector that allows you.
Yeah, no, but somebody must have overridden it.
No, there's nothing on the other two.
Yeah,
There's
okay,
nothing.
that's what I'm saying, so just bypass the switches. So the current goes
Put those
directly
covers
to
over
the
it.
lights, and the light will come on when it gets
do
dark.
that.
What?
I don't think we can do that.
Of course you can, of course you can,
Well,
Well, I meant by code.
of course you can.
the lights over the entrances on the outside, were changed during the lighting retrofit from a pole and more of a facing down kind of thing, and
Right.
to something that more or less aimed straight out. And that exposed a problem, which was, first off, neighbors could see it brighter. It was brighter to them. And then also, anybody who was walking towards the building,
Mhm.
Could see, you're blinded by it.
Mhm.
pupils shut down. If there's something over there that they really should need to be able to see, they can't.
Mhm.
So,
Chief, you have your hand up?
I think I've got a couple of those little things you put on the switches so you
Yeah.
can lock them in place. I think I have them in my office. I bought them from the police department. I took off the tape, put them on. If I have them, I'll bring them over and
I think that there's
put
one,
them on.
Is it-
Thank you.
this is something that stops you from operating a
Yeah.
switch.
Right.
Last I recall, there was one
I
of
think
those.
there's already one over there somewhere.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's for the outside lights.
Yeah.
It's not for the ones in underneath the overhang.
Oh, okay,
Those have been off and everyone's complaining because it's dark at the doors.
right.
You go out there right now, they're brightly lit, both.
Right.
Excellent. Good.
All right.
Good, cool.
So,
Thanks.
what's the next step here?
You gonna find out how much it will cost, bores
The
underneath
trench,
the,
yeah.
boiler.
Yeah.
And we gotta see where we can grab the money out of too, right? So I think we use up a lot of the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Now, these,
We'll have another
these,
quarterly report next week. after
Okay.
these dollar figures come from one outfit. And and it's basically the outfit sells the fixtures. They, but, I stopped prior to getting quotes from 3 or 4 places because we had 3 or 4 options, and okay,
Well, I think option 2 works, once we figure out
If it's feasible.
boring,
right.
yeah, if that can be done.
Right, and, move the pole back a ways.
Yeah.
Cause, they do like to push and scrape and whatnot, and,
But I think they can plow around one single pole.
Yeah, I think one
there.
pole shouldn't be a big deal, John.
alright,
It's not like we're putting in a string of 6, you know?
Right,
yeah, alright.
you know, I don't want to get plowing, it's easy.
Yeah.
So, when you decide, get back to me and I'll let me rig up a list and
Yeah.
spec and send out the quote.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yep.
Have a good night, John.
You put it in the sun. Right.
Okay.
Thank you, chief. Need to clear the room for this discussion.
We got some stuff we can talk about, public first, just
Okay.
one small section. We wanna do on non-public, can I sue over there? Cause I got a bunch of stuff to spray on.
What do you like, sir?
What'd you say?
Is this one we got last week, or is your?
Well, it's updated, because we've got some additional information, so I wanted to bring you up to speed, I was actually working on that, before I left work today.
The dollar numbers haven't changed here though, right? We haven't gotten another,
Yeah, we've got some more information.
we do.
I mean, the cost of dispatch services that they gave us hasn't changed. Just, I have some information on, the cost of doing some of these other things.
Okay.
The part of the package. This last portion here specifically does discuss the radio system.
Yep.
And I just asked that we do, this is what I want to do in non-public.
Sure.
Absolutely. Alright, 4 is yours, sir, won't you, let us do what you got here.
Okay, well, apparently you've already got the pricing on from the 3 bidders, so
Yep.
I don't need to go over that.
Nope.
One of the things that did change is Goffstown is now taking on Ware Police Department. Ware is going to be leaving Bow and going to Goffstown around the first of the year. So some of the things that we wanted to do, they've worked out for them and they do for us as well. So that changed, some of these secondary services.
Yeah, see, that's,
They're able to do all of that.
yeah, where it said not presently, it now says yes.
It all says yes, they
Yep.
can do that now.
Well, can they do it now, or is it
Yes.
some,
Yeah,
before they could, but now all of a sudden a week later they can?
well,
I'm not sure I follow how that
well, they-
changed so fast.
they had, when they did the quote, that's what they had available, but in the time that's transpired,
Yep.
since they gave us a quote, they've been working on these things for Ware as well,
Okay.
so it applies for us. So it's stuff that kinda came together, just like when Chris came and presented to you last week.
Yep.
There's more information that I have now,
Mhm.
over the course of the week, so
Okay.
it's the same type of thing.
So where is going with Goffstown?
Ware is leaving Bow, going to Goffstown, I just found that out.
I didn't know where was with Bo, I thought it was just Dunbarton and Bo.
No, Ware, New Boston, and Bow, and Dunbarton, those four towns were all part of,
Okay.
what Bow was doing.
Okay,
And now Ware is leaving.
okay.
That's gonna really hurt both.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt
Oh,
them
yeah.
big time.
Yeah, they're taking it on the chin.
Well,
You know
looking
if the
at
other
price,
towns
I
are
can see
looking
why
at-
they're taking on
Are
the
they
chip.
gonna change?
What's that?
The other towns, are they looking to change too, do you know?
I don't know,
Don't know.
I had no idea where it was gonna change.
Boy,
Wow.
I don't know.
That kinda-
Yeah, I would imagine
And
they
to
don't
be honest, with you,
advertise
if you look
it
at
too much.
their quote under at Goffstown spot, I can see why Ware is
Wow.
doing what they're doing. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how they can afford to do it at that price, but they can, so
yeah.
that's what's important to us.
Well, maybe with the extra service, I'll put another dispatcher in the office to help out or something.
Well, they said they maintained the levels that they had prior. See, I guess back in the day, Goffstown dispatched for the fire departments that you know about, they also dispatched for Ware and New Boston. And my understanding, and I might not have this right, but Ware and New Boston left and went to Bow because Goffstown didn't have the capacity to dispatch using IMC, which is the kind of standard, records management dispatch software here. They've since gone out, they've done some updating, they have that now, and now it's more attractive to go there. So they have that capacity plus pricing, and their, you know, their borders, they border each other, so there's a lot of things that I guess they would take into consideration in making that decision. Okay, the thing about the telephone number, apparently we've been paying that, and so it's our number, we can port that over wherever we go.
So we can keep
Okay,
it,
yeah,
so the
thank you.
1232 we can keep.
Yes. Radio coverage, we did a little bit of radio study. We know the shortcomings of the radio system with Bo. We discovered, not really by surprise, the shortcomings both with county and with Goffstown, and I'll talk to you later about how to mitigate that. Because the next thing that really changes is that secondary police services. So we skip ahead a couple of pages here to data sharing, host dispatch and record server. I did a little more checking today. I spoke with one of the salespeople at IMC. They had actually sent Bo a quote for our changeover, and I gave you a copy of that. That's what you'll see here. This thing from TriTech. And I'll kind of give you the Reader's Digest version of this. Basically, there's some costs to make some changes. We get some credits for licensing that we already have, and when you factor in our present cost of maintenance, a maintenance agreement, the change is about $700 if you factor out the whole MDT portion of it. So it costs about $700 to change over to Goffstown to host our server. Now, if they do that, that opens up a whole lot of things that's nice for us. First of all, with live dispatch, presently, when somebody calls Bo and they dispatch a call, it may be the following day, or if it's on a Friday, it's Monday before we have access to that information. We'll have live access here. A lot of the things that we have to call them for, to run warrant checks, motor vehicle listings, criminal histories, things like that, we'll be able to do right away. We'll have access to all that stuff as well. So this is a huge step forward as far as efficiency goes.
So if I understand this quote here, basically the project total of $10,278 is also including that secondary.
So if you take that whole total,
Yep.
and you take off the $4,500 for licensing the software for the MDTs, that reduces it. If you take away the present cost of maintenance, our maintenance agreement, it comes down to about $700. Our maintenance cost will actually be reduced in the coming years.
Right, but this quote here includes all the
Yeah,
secondary stuff that you want.
It's got everything.
Yes, that's what I thought, that's what I said.
Okay.
So I think I addressed that a little later on in the report.
Okay.
And I addressed the ability that all three of them can host us for as far as the MDTs and that way client stuff. So, moving along here, basically, my recommendation under the conclusion, the second to last page, my recommendation is Goffstown will give us the most bang for our buck. They can really outperform the others as far as with services and price.
Right.
Both could host us, but their price is quite a bit higher.
Cause it would just go up higher if we wanted to go into that secondary list of stuff that you
I
had.
they wouldn't charge us for those, there wouldn't be any additional cost, not on a,
I mean, well, I mean, for us to get that stuff, I mean,
that's fixed cost, we're gonna pay that regardless of who we are with.
exactly, so I mean, we pay that fixed fixed cost, whether it's Goffstown or Bow,
Exactly,
Bow's still gonna cost us more than Goffstown will.
yes, that's correct.
So all these secondary services, there's something that you don't have now?
Some of it is,
Okay, so you're upgrading.
well, yes and no, we're upgrading in the sense that we're gonna have access to services that we don't have now. We're downgrading without these, we're downgrading because we're not gonna have as much access as we had. Because right now, we share a frequency with Bow. Bow is not nearly as busy as Goffstown. So, by us maintaining the same level and going to Goffstown, without being able to, do some of these things that are gonna keep us off the radio and, not having to make calls to them, it's gonna make it very difficult for us to get airtime and to get dispatch time.
But you share a frequency, Dunbarton does with Bow.
Yes,
Is it the same frequency that they share with New Boston and?
No.
And where?
no, New Boston and Ware are both on their own channel.
With Bow.
No, they're on their own channels. New Boston has their own channel, Ware has their own channel. We share a channel with Bow, so it's Bow and Dunbarton on one channel, Ware's on another channel, and, New Boston is on their own channel.
They have to do a proximity, you know, cause we're right next to Bow and they're further away,
It really has more to do with, they have radio infrastructure, we don't have that. If we had our own radio infrastructure, then we could be on our own channel,
I see.
but it's gonna be expensive to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why the most cost-effective thing is for us to share a frequency with them. That was one of the things they had to overcome. They're gonna have to get used to sharing a frequency with us, as well as us having to get used to dealing with an agency that uses more airtime.
But you become less,
Dependent on the airtime.
dependent on the airtime, I would say less competitive with them, cause you're competing
yeah.
for that same airtime. But if you have that terminal, you have that direct connect.
A lot of those things that we don't
Yeah.
have to go through
Cause
dispatch.
now
to
you're
do.
taking that human intervention out of it, and you're linking directly into that database.
What terminal are we talking?
He's talking about putting
Like, mobile
the
data
mobile
terminals.
data terminal in the vehicle.
Yeah, that's what.
Right,
That's the
what,
third part of it.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm giving you three components. I'm giving you radio, hosting the server,
Mhm.
and MDTs.
The host and server, currently it's a third party.
Right now, our server is leased, we're basically leasing server time from a company in Northfield. So everything's done over a virtual private network.
Yeah.
It'll be the same thing if we go to Goffstown. The only thing is that we would be directly on the same server that they use, so when they dispatch a call, it's instantaneous for us.
Instead of,
There's no more, right now, when we get our log, in the morning, you know, 5 days a week, we get, a file from Bow. We have to upload that file into our, dispatch our dispatch program, and that's how it generates the call numbers, and that's when we find out all this information. So, little things like, if we go to an accident, we run a license plate, we run, person's driver's information. All that stuff is part of the call in Bow. We don't get it until the next day, or maybe 3 or 4 days later. So when we sit down to type the report, all that demographic information has to be put in. And, you know, in and of itself, not a big thing, but as you go through each of those fields, you run the risk for errors, and you're also adding time. So every one of those steps is a little more time that ties you to the building program.
while you're in the building, unless you're out in the field,
Exactly.
that's what I'm hearing from you.
That's exactly true.
Right.
The more they're in the building, the less they're out in the field.
Yeah, well, that's what
Is
Chris
what I'm
was
hearing.
saying.
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you have the server at Goffstown, like I said, the call comes in, it goes right on the server, you can pull it up immediate, well, as soon as you want to.
It's instantaneous.
Right.
You know, we have a walk-in right now. Okay, if somebody walks in the station, or calls our business number and says, hey, you know, I got a complaint about, my neighbor's dog, who's chasing me down the street when I was riding my bike. We have to call Bow, we have to get him on the phone, I need a call number, okay, and then we gotta give him the information, we spoon feed the information to him, and then they'll input it, and the following day, we'll be able to access that unless it's on a Friday,
Mhm.
then it's gonna be Monday.
Or
Maybe
a holiday,
a 3-day
3-day holiday,
Well,
then it's
it'd be 4
Tuesday.
day delay. So
Gotcha.
that's how it works right now.
No, you'd still have to do that with Goffstown, you'd have to call them up and give them the information.
No, we could go to our, desktop computer right in our office and just create the call and put the
So it'd be
information.
right, it'd go right to the server directly.
We do it ourselves and, you know, as if we ran a
Mhm.
plate, the information's back, populates all the fields in IMC, and we, you know, we don't run the risk of making errors.
So yeah, you're taking that human keystroke out of it, and,
You take a
Yep.
keystroke
Yeah.
out, you're reducing errors,
yeah,
and you're saving time.
Yep.
So that's the thing, and really, to go to that, to have Goffstown host our server, you're talking about $700 or more. That's what it's gonna cost a year. Now, the other thing that I hadn't talked about is we have a, network hosting agreement, again, with the, people who do it now.
Mhm.
That's $3,024 a year. There's gonna be some savings out of that if we don't use that service anymore. Now, whether we can eliminate it or whether we reduce it, there's gonna be some other costs that are gonna offset that savings, and how much that'll be, I don't know. Because somebody's gonna need to maintain our hardware,
Mhm.
we'll need some kind of,
Well, are we gonna do a virtual server with Goffstown, or are they
Yes.
are we gonna physically have a server there?
we won't have a server there, but inside our building, we're still gonna need something to keep our computers connected.
Yeah.
So we'll have to have something there, some kind of network storage,
Mhm.
because we'll no longer be storing our data there,
Mhm.
you know, with our contractor. But, you know, this is something we would probably wanna get on board with what you're doing in the town, become more of a system here than being a standalone.
Yep, absolutely.
yeah,
Now
so
you
we
have
could
one
get
point.
ahold of Jim to work that out.
Mhm.
May need to,
As part of our-
expand the
As part of our
contract.
contract, well, I think
Right.
part of the contract is for all that sort of thing, you know,
It
letting
is.
us know what we need and
Yeah.
how we're gonna go
Yep.
about it, and so.
And it's just based on a dollar per user, so if you
Right.
got 3 or 4 or 5 more
Yeah.
users, then it increases by that
Yep.
$1,099,
But I mean,
whatever.
I think, you know, but I think they're also they're on the hook for helping us get to that point. It's
Right.
part of the contract that we pay them on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't cost us any extra in that respect, as
Nope.
far as,
Should be part of the contract.
until we pull the trigger.
Cool.
So what those costs, what the savings or expenditures is gonna be, I don't know right
I
now.
mean, there's gonna be some growing pains back and forth, I mean, so it's gonna be some costs here, some savings here, until it's all, you know, after about the first year, that's when we're gonna start seeing.
I would say second year, you're gonna start seeing some
Right,
savings,
well, get
that
through the
third
first
year
year.
on, you've got most of the infrastructures in place. You should see some good savings after that.
Now, the contract we were looking to do with, if Goffstown, because we haven't made a motion or anything like that, but if hypothetically say Goffstown is the winning bidder, and we go with them, how long of the contract are you suggesting go with them, or are they, how long are they willing to take and sign on with us?
Well, those details I don't have, I would assume that we're gonna go with them for at least 3 years. This is not something we wanna do on a
Right, I'm
regular
trying to remember
basis.
what in the contract, in the bid, if we had a date in there as far as
For
longevity. for the
3 years is
contract.
what we asked for.
Right,
So we got pricing for 3 years, I don't think they're gonna be in any hurry to get rid of us.
no, I mean, cause once you get to that point, I mean.
Yeah, you're pretty embedded though.
Well, there's one more little caveat here,
Mhm.
is when we migrate, if we migrate from Bo to Goffstown, we're gonna lose some of our data. So,
I'm
yeah,
so,
they, not all the data comes with us.
all the
Yes.
proprietary stuff,
Well, no, all the prior calls and,
that's not
There's-
archived somewhere where we could.
it belongs to us. Usually what they do is they put it on a standalone server, so you go back and you look at your old stuff, and then after that date, you go with everything new, and, you know, it's a big deal for a few years, and then as time goes on, it becomes less of a big deal.
Right.
But I'm asking for those 2 points, I'm asking for, pricing on data conversion. We don't need to convert all of our data, but there are some things that we'd like to have as part of our system, so that would be,
Yeah.
you know, the information we have on, under individual vehicles,
Mhm.
property and evidence, and, reports.
Mhm.
That's stuff that I would like to maintain.
Absolutely.
And the point is, if we skip around and do this every
Mhm.
3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
we could be converting
What a
data
mess.
and run into this problem.
Yeah.
And
They don't use the same, formats from one to the other, or?
formats are the same, but, some of the indexing is gonna be different.
So this data conversion chief, is that something that would Bo do for you or a third
No.
party?
No, this, actually, IMC would send this out to a third party provider.
IMC would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that we could use our current provider for, okay. So you'd have to go through
Where's
IMC
where's
for
the
this.
archive, well, the old data or archival data, where's that being held now?
With our,
Current.
network, with our network provider,
So it's on our server,
our virtual server,
Virtual
it's
server.
our data sitting on their server. But
if
we
we're
can't
using,
just take it and just plug it in, I wish it could be, you can't.
well, that's what I'm kinda finding, cause if we're using IMC up there, and we're gonna be using IMC in Goffstown, why wouldn't it transfer?
Every record that we have is assigned a unique number,
Right,
so if we take our data, and the numbers aren't gonna jive with Goffstown, and if Wade's doing the same thing.
Cause they may already have something else assigned to that number, potentially.
Here's a for instance, we deal with,
okay, so you need a crossover table.
yeah, so
Yeah.
they've dealt with this before, some
Oh,
of the
I'm
stuff
sure
could
they
be
have,
really
yeah.
expensive,
Mhm.
but we don't need the Cadillac plan, just, there's some really critical stuff, and the rest of it we can live without. So depending on how that prices out, I'll let you know.
Well, the unique numbers, I understand, so if they're saying, well, Goffstown may have the same numbers that we're using,
We
right,
were
that's-
running into that problem with Bo. We were running into problems with, you know, the individual identifiers were, they would generate, or we would generate on our system something they already had and it wouldn't work, so.
They couldn't differentiate whether it was a Goffstown or a Dunbarton,
Yeah.
or something like that, okay.
I don't,
Bless you,
Bless you.
you're not contagious, are you?
Allergies.
no, I'm no expert, I'm not even well versed in data tables,
Mhm.
so I got a general idea of what the issues are,
Yeah,
but I don't have a detailed idea what the issues are, all I know is
I've run into it before.
when you change software, you get run into these problems with data conversion, and if
Mhm.
you change vendors, you know, or you change your provider, you run into the same
Yep.
thing.
I've run into it before, so, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know what it's gonna cost.
Is there any way to get a rough estimate on that?
They're working on it, I talked to the guy today, so a lot of things, I had a lot of things happen today, as I was trying to write this for you. These calls come in, I have to go back and rewrite it, so it's not as concise as I would like to have it, and I would like to put it in your hands, you know, on Monday or Tuesday, so you have a chance to read it.
And you're out of time here, right?
Well,
You've
we're
got
Right
gonna-
now, yeah.
Cause next Thursday is the first of
That's it,
October.
It
Right.
is.
So, I mean, without going into the stuff that you're talking about in non-public is related to this, but not critical to whether our decision whether to go with Goffstown or stay with Bo, or,
It's important.
so you wanna go through it all before we do that?
I don't think it'll take that long to go through the non-public part.
Okay, just to clarify, all these things you have listed on TriTech.
Yeah.
Do you have all these things now, or these are all
Some of it.
additions?
Some of them we have, some of them we don't have, some of them are unique to having somebody else, run your server and not be a standalone.
I guess I'm trying to figure out, if I go to page 1, it says that Ball is charging us $27,000 a year. Now, for that $27,000, do they supply whatever these things are?
They wouldn't supply that software, we would have to buy, software and licensing. They would host us, just like Goffstown will, and county will not. But we still have to buy that infrastructure in order for them to be able to do it.
So basically,
To go to Goffstown.
To go to Goffstown, or if Bo was gonna host us, we'd have to buy the same stuff in order for them to do it.
well, if I'm hearing this correctly, a lot of the stuff is, we don't have now, but the stuff that we do have now is through a third party up in Northfield. And to move that to Bo or Goffstown, we would still have to do the same thing, regardless.
Right.
Yeah, but some of this is, right now is, hopeful stuff and.
I guess the
some of
bottom
it's
line,
already-
Ted, is in order for us to be hosted down in Goffstown, the change in price over what we have now is $700. It's gonna cost us $700 when you factor in the savings you're gonna have on your maintenance plan. It's the difference is $700. Take out $4,500 for the MDTs,
Mhm.
take out the cost of maintenance, $700 for them to host us.
More than what we're paying now.
$700.
So it's gonna cost us,
Well, that's a different contract, that's the one that we do up in Northfield. Right?
It's $3,200 for
Okay.
us to be up in Northfield.
Right.
That's not part of this bid,
No.
chief,
No,
right? Yeah,
no, it's not.
that's a separate contract that we have with a third party.
okay, I guess what I'm
It's
trying to find
related
out
to-
is, right now we're paying Bo 28,000 a year roughly.
Yep.
If we go to Goffstown, it'll cost us 11,500.
Right.
How much is it gonna cost us to make the conversion in the first year?
For this, for records management,
Yeah, whatever it is,
the
Oh.
difference is gonna be $700.
That's for the record management. Now, you got radios is another whole situation.
Your radio's a whole nother story.
There's a lot of moving parts to this, it's not just.
okay, I guess what I'm trying to find out is, if we went to Goffstown, just looking at this first page, we'd save about 16,000 a
Right.
year. You're saying we're not gonna save 16,000 a year.
Not the first year.
Okay, so I guess I'm trying to find out how much are we gonna save?
I can't give you a number on exactly how much we're gonna save. Some of the stuff depends on what decisions we make. But I can tell you right now, based on the numbers that I had for this, the price of the records management being hosted by Goffstown instead of a contractor in Northfield, $700 more.
But we get a lot more
So $700
out of it though.
more than, 700 more than the 27,000, or $700 more than the
You're
11,000?
mixing two things.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
and I can't.
There's a
I'm trying to
different
get
budget
it.
line for the,
So what you have here, the price of dispatch is just the price of them answering the phone, calling us on the radio, running our listings,
Okay, I understand what
Some of
you're
those-
saying, it's two different lines.
that's that.
yeah.
So if we go over to Goffstown, we're saving $16,000
Yeah.
on this
Yeah, more
contract.
or less, yeah.
But now you're
Just on
saying you
that.
wanna change the way we do the hosting,
Yes,
and that would cost us another $700
right,
on that line. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, so. Okay,
Now, there's gonna be some other additional costs for the conversion to Goffstown.
there's two other components that we have to deal with.
that you don't know yet.
Well, I have some kind of rough numbers, but I wanna explain to you what the problem is,
Okay.
why it's important,
Okay,
because that could factor into, to what we're doing.
okay.
Already. Firewood?
Well, I,
This way you want to go in
non-public, right?
public.
well, when we talk about the radios, I do.
Okay.
So we're gonna do the radios and, you know, we need to go to
You said there's two other components, there's one of the other ones.
Well, one was the
public.
the MDT component.
Okay,
And what is that?
That's priority number 3.
What's in,
That's putting computers in the cars
okay.
and networking them into the records management system. I broke that out, I broke that apart, so it's separate from there.
Can I ask a question?
yeah, absolutely.
This is the dispatch services.
Yes.
On top of this 11,000, are both of these total fees gonna be added to the Goffstown? What
No,
we see here?
Goffstown isn't gonna, they're not gonna charge us any more. Any changes for our records management is gonna be something we deal with TriTech or IMC.
Okay,
So that's a separate line item.
yeah,
And then the radio thing is, well, that's something we're gonna have to talk about.
okay, so now going back to Bo, where dispatchers is 27,894. Are these both the same? This cost will still be added on top of the 27?
Well, if we have them host, then yes.
Okay,
And if we go there, we're probably not gonna do this.
okay, that's what I need to understand. That was the 27.
Bo does not have the capacity for us to upgrade our radio system.
Mhm.
So it is, what it is right now is as good as it'll ever get. Unless they make some changes to the radio system,
And then
and we can do something in the future. They would talk, I met with the chief there, last year, and we talked about something collaborative with Ware and, New Boston, with Ware moving on. I don't know if that's gonna really go as we had discussed.
Gotcha. So what is this?
That's part of the radio infrastructure.
Okay, so that's
I'll
right.
talk to you about it, yeah.
Gotcha, alright.
Chief, do you know if, you said New Boston was the reason?
No,
Where was it? Have they made that notification to
Oh, yeah,
Bo? They have?
yeah, they've been notified, I found out last week. So this is something we're looking at.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah, we do.
yeah, I know we do.
Okay, so why don't we go on non-public?
Well, let's talk about the MD,
Then,
The MDTs.
MDPs, yeah,
yeah,
cause we don't need to go non-public for that, do we?
No.
Okay.
No, basically, the MDTs are a computer, or of some sort, they can be a computer, a tablet, but anyways, there's some kind of capacity, electronic capacity in the vehicles, and you can do an abbreviated version of dispatch. So when Goffstown would dispatch us to a call, it would come over MDTs, the stuff would show up on the display, where you going, okay, in the nature of the call. When you get to the call, you touch the screen, you sign out. Okay, so now it documents the time that you sign out, you're not having to pick up the radio, wait for airtime, and sign out. You handle your call, if it's a minor thing, you can type the disposition in right there, call's done. You know, instead of having to call in dispositions over the radio, those are some of the things that'll help you. Now, on a quiet night, it doesn't really make much of a difference, but when Goffstown's got something that's hopping, or one of the other towns has some kind of incident going on, we have a couple of options. We can either slow down what we're doing and wait for airtime, you know? You can't be barging in on this stuff.
Right.
Right now, Bo has a lower number of calls than Goffstown does, they're not as busy, they're not using as much airtime, so, it's
Now,
gonna
they're
be
not
more
using
difficult.
airtime because they have terminals,
They have, yeah, the terminals
so
help.
that would maybe use less airtime?
So who are you talking about has the terminals?
Well,
They both do.
Oh, Bo has
Yeah,
terminals?
it's very common for police departments to have, it's kind of uncommon for police departments not to have
Not to have.
MDTs.
Oh, so we're in the minority now, huh?
Yeah, basically,
Oh, nothing wrong with being a minority.
no. Keeps it simple. Yes. But anyways, they'll also allow you to be able to do that same stuff, you can run your own listings, you can, run your warrant checks and your record checks and things like that.
and you get it right away,
And you gotta, yeah.
you're not
basically-
waiting for a day or two.
You're not waiting for it to come back over radio while they're doing it for you and
Yeah.
something else comes in.
Well, something's going on in another jurisdiction.
Yep.
And those are the things, those are the realities of what we're doing.
Yep.
So,
Oh, I understand.
another example, one of the officers is driving someplace and he sees a suspicious car, okay? And he'd like to call it in, and there's something going on. So, he maybe make a note of it, maybe run it later, or maybe he won't, but doesn't really do anything with it because they don't have the opportunity. You know, with an MDT, you can run your own plates, you might run that and say, oh, that person lives there. Or wait a minute, that person is from another town, and they check a little further and they find out, well, there's a warrant for him, or they've done, you know, they've got a long history of house breaks or burglaries. So it
You
kind of
bumping
changes
into-
the way you do things. It changes policing in a lot of ways,
Makes sense.
so.
Do we have a cost for those?
I don't have a cost nailed down. The software and licensing is $4,500
Per unit?
for three
Oh, for three.
units.
Per year?
No, just, that's
One-time
software and
charge.
licensing, yeah.
I'm sure there'll be updates, but they shouldn't be
Yeah.
that much money.
That part of the maintenance agreement, is that you pay that as part of the maintenance. There's, the only reoccurring cost is the airtime, you have to buy a data plan, just like you would with a cell phone,
Right.
because that's what you're using,
Well, speak, I don't mean to interrupt before I forget it, cause I will forget it. Did, you get, that information from
you said
Ballpark
that.
Level? Okay.
I got that.
Thank you.
Is the airtime, so, you know, what's a data plan? I don't know what the state would charge, $40, $50 under the contract. I usually use when I budgeted for these things, I always use around number about $50 a month.
Probably could jump on the state contract for that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. And there's a number of different ways to get on, and we would be looking to buy equipment as cost effectively as we could. We took some donations from my previous department, and they changed over, so that's a possibility to be able to use some of their old equipment.
Hand-me-downs.
Yeah, we get some hand-me-down stuff. The quotes that I got were for new equipment, for new laptops, and I never bought new laptops, they were just way too expensive. But there's some other options that have changed since I was managing MDTs, so there's tablets out there and some other things, and those are all things we would have to look at.
But it's not something we have to go to right away.
No,
But we can work our way into it.
it's not the priority right now. The priority is gonna be,
Radios and server.
yeah, sir, those are the highest two priorities.
Okay.
So that means we're probably at radios now, right?
I'm gonna continue to get pricing and look and see what,
I meant far as going into the
Yeah.
non-public. Alright, so I'll make a motion to go into non-public, for say 91:A-3, what number is it? Yeah, I got it here. It's right-
91-A:5,